A television miniseries based off one of my favorite films of all time? I'm in. So, Fargo is an FX miniseries based off the movie Fargo by the Coen brothers. And it stars Martin Freeman, Billy Bob Thornton, Colin Hanks, Bob Odenkirk, as well as a few other big names. And now this is something that I was really looking forward to because I really enjoyed the movie Fargo and I really love pretty much all of the work by the Coen brothers, and they're some of my favorite directors working in Hollywood today, and like I said, their movie Fargo is probably one of my favorite movies. And when I heard that this was being made into a miniseries, initially when I just heard that that was a thing that they were doing, I didn't really know how to feel, but the more I saw on it, and the more I saw who was involved, and that all these actors that I really like were going to be in it, I was really excited for it. And when I saw the first episode, I was just, my mind was blown. I was really surprised by how well it captured the tone and feel of the original movie, as well as a lot of the humor, and I liked a lot of the little Easter eggs that they had from the movie. And that was the first episode, and the second episode sort of carried that over, but by the third episode I noticed that's when it sort of started, diverging from the sort of overall feel of Fargo, and by the next few episodes in, I feel like it really wasn't as much, it didn't feel as much like the Coen brothers style. It felt sort of like somebody was doing their own thing, but I was perfectly fine with that. And then we got towards the end, and it sort of picked back up to the Coen brothers style, and by the time we hit the finale, which I just recently watched, it was just back on track, and it was just as good as when it started out. But I think I have a problem with this miniseries, and that's that I feel that it really should have been probably halved. I don't think it should have been a 10-episode miniseries as much as I enjoyed the episodes. I think maybe it should have been a 5-episode miniseries, because there are parts in this miniseries where it feels like certain story elements are brought in, or certain objectives or goals are put into the show just to sort of prolong the story. And if it were just like a 5-episode miniseries, just this tight little story, I feel like it would have worked out a lot better than it ended up working out. I really liked seeing Martin Freeman's character just sort of evolve as time went on, and he's very reminiscent of William H. Macy's character in the movie Fargo. But whereas William H. Macy's character, you could sort of tell, he wasn't necessarily a good guy, but at the same time, he was just sort of somebody who got himself into a situation he couldn't understand. With Martin Freeman's character, you see that at first, but over time goes on, you see him sort of become this more malevolent and just despicable human being, and that was a really interesting thing to see. It was a really interesting character arc to go through, and I really liked what they did with that character. And the deputy, she did a really good job too. I don't want to really say that she's the main character though, like Frances McDormand was with Fargo, because really, she only really becomes the main character, I think, in the later episodes, and I really enjoyed pretty much all the characters in, this show. They pick up this sort of, subplot with a character played by Oliver Platt, and Billy Bob Thornton's character, he starts interacting with Oliver Platt's character. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy seeing where they were going with that, but at the same time, it feels like that was sort of thrown in. That's what I'm talking about. I feel like that whole, plot element with Oliver Platt's character was thrown in to prolong the series. And I feel it would have worked a lot better had they just not gone that route and just stayed focused on the main plot that's going on. I feel like it was almost meant to be something shorter. I feel like it was meant to be sort of, a 5-episode miniseries, but then they had to spread it out because they forget about that story element and that plot so quickly that you're sort of left wondering why it was even in there to begin with. Overall, the good elements in this show are just so well done. Like, the score is incredible. The tone is spot on. It's exactly how the Coen brothers would have done it. And another thing I'm really happy to see is that this show really does get the Coen brothers' humor. I have always stood by that Fargo is a hilarious movie, and that's sort of what it's intended to be. It's a dark comedy, and that's what the Coen brothers do expertly. So I was really happy that the show was able to recapture the humor. There are some very hilarious, some very darkly hilarious moments in this show. But overall, this show has great characters, it has great humor if you've got a messed up mind like I do, It's got great shots, it's got great cinematography, it's got great music, and it's got great tone. This definitely is a show that is well worth your time. And with that, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It's a fantastic show. You should check it out if you get the chance. Pick it up on DVD. It's probably something you'll want to rewatch. Okay, so you watched my first review of a TV show. Why don't you like this video so I'll know if I should do more of these? Even though I really mainly did this because it was a miniseries, so it's kind of easier to talk about than talking about a show season by season. So, yeah, you could like the video, or you could subscribe, or you could check out some of my movie reviews over here, or you could, follow me on these social media sites, and maybe I'll talk about something important, but I probably won't, so, I mean,